the times in my life where I've gotten really hurt unnecessarily through business building were the times that I thought my business was my charity, or I thought it was my church, or I thought it was my family. Your business is your business. It's supposed to be profitable, and that's it. Now, that sounds really cold-hearted, but you guys don't know what I've been through.
Hey, Sheila, welcome to Keep What You Earn. I'm so excited to have you, and I really mean that.
I felt that. I know. You don't BS me, Shannon.
No, never. Never.
I'm excited to be here. We're doing it.
We are. So for those who don't know Sheila, which you should definitely be following her.
You should. You should know me.
So Sheila is an amazing client, friend, and business owner, and I'm really excited to share her with you and her knowledge and her experience, because she is, and I mean this with all my heart, she is one of the most resilient and courageous business owners I know. And it would be so easy. It would be so easy for anyone to see her on social media and judge her or make assumptions or anything. And I was like, this woman is one of the most savvy business owners I know. So I want to say I'm so happy to have you on.
Thank you. I actually really like that people judge me and underestimate me. I think it's an advantage. I don't want them to see me coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that.
I dress the way I do and speak the way I do, and there's a functional reason for it all.
There is. So for those who don't know you, meaning they didn't just hit pause, follow you, and consume everything you've ever done, can you give our audience a little bit of a taste of who Sheila is and what you've been up to for the past couple of years? Very high level.
Okay, so I was a server at a bar on Hollywood and Vine. Mm-hmm. And when I lost my job it was like an upscale, is there such a thing as an upscale Hooters? Okay. So when I lost my job selling beer and avocado fries at this Irish pub, I decided I needed to now take myself seriously and get a real big girl job because nobody took me seriously. And I ended up in permanent makeup. I took a permanent makeup class that was 5 days long. And long story short, I created a multi-million-dollar brow business within 3 years. After that, everything was good. And then the pandemic hit, that little thing that happened in 2020.
Mm-hmm. May have heard of it.
About that? Did you hear about that? My salon was shut down, and then I had to create my second multi-million-dollar business called Pretty Rich Bosses, which is an online mentorship program for beauty entrepreneurs. And aside from that, I am a mother of 3 boys. I am married to William James Root III, and I just moved into a new house. That's my life.
Is so exciting. So, and I'm so excited to be part of that journey, or to be able to watch at least part of it as you've grown. What do you think were the key factors here on how you were able to go from not just building one multi-million-dollar business, but pivoting out of survival really, and going into another one? What do you think were the key things there that enabled you to be able to do that?
Discomfort. I had to be uncomfortable. And you know what? I'm really thankful for this second experience of business building, the second successful one, because that's when I really believed in myself. When you do it once, you think like, oh, I got lucky. Oh, it was a fad. I got in early. And then when I built my second one and it was successful so quickly, that's when I think a new sense of confidence, filled my soul. And I was like, oh, it's not the business. It's not the item. It's not the product. Holy shit, it's me. And both of them were born from an extreme discomfort. Really grateful for that.
That's awesome. And that is exactly the attitude, though, that I appreciate when it says discomfort was the key. And what are the tips you have for entrepreneurs to get through that discomfort, or I think for you, it's just so like embedded, right? It's like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
we just thrive in the discomfort. But for those who don't,
Mm-hmm.
what advice do you have?
I think you need to understand yourself. It's self-awareness is everything. Why do you want the lifestyle? Why do you want more success? What is it about the success that you want? Do you want more money? Is it about the lifestyle? Do you just want accolades? Understanding that and getting really clear on your why. And my why for both times was very clear. It was relationally driven. I wanted to provide for my mom. And the second time, my mom and my kids and my whole family. Oh man, kids, they put a different pep in your step when it comes to that. Yeah, you will walk through fire. And I think the smaller your circle gets, the clearer your priorities are, you start to care less and less about what other people think of you. Because as long as my family is okay, then it doesn't matter. And you take more risks, you take more chances, and it doesn't matter what other people say.
There's actually, it's going to sound funny. I'm actually going to quote you because you put something in a video recently that like shook me. And I want to get like, what is it? Like stitched onto a pillow or something. And it was basically, and you can tell me what it was, but you need to be okay with other people not knowing your side of the story.
Yeah.
And that was like a gut punch where I was like, oh, that was huge. And I just went, that is one of the biggest pieces of gold for a business owner, especially in
And
customer service, in anything. And like,
with
it's
social
okay.
media.
Social
With social,
media.
yeah, it's so easy. That's how girls fight typically. It's
Mm.
not typically physical. It's through reputation destruction. But if you're going to get caught up in that, you might as well be take the cash that you have and put it in a fire pit, right? And light it on fire because time is money and energy is money. If you're going to waste your time trying to clear your name or whatever that means, when you probably can never ever do that, that's more money out the door. That's also a reality of business building, that I'm grateful to have gotten to this point now where I just really now care very little about not everybody knowing my side of what really happened, how it really went down, how this is one-sided, this isn't fair. Yeah, I've gotten less and less upset about it because this is how it started. So I've realized that whenever something has been said about me, right? As long as I don't know about it, my life doesn't change. Think about it. So there was something that was said about me on this very small account, with not a lot of followers. And it happened from a disgruntled employee about 2 weeks ago. And that entire 2 weeks had already gone by. And my life went on. We made sales. I had amazing moments with my family. We celebrated Easter. And again, it was proof of this concept that I've been drilling, for several years, that it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. So there's no need to give it any attention than what's necessary.
Totally true. And I'm going to keep quoting your own videos, but another thing that you've said was to act like you've already been canceled.
Oh my gosh, getting canceled was the most liberating experience of my life. It was really painful. But it helped me really lean into who I really was. Act like it's already happened, because it will happen. The more outspoken you are, it's just going to happen to anybody at any time. The more content you create, right? The more risk you take, it'll just happen. And you just need to be ready for it and know that as long as, again, you know who you are, it doesn't matter. And never apologize to the mob. Apologize to people you know, but never apologize to an angry crowd, ever. They don't know you. I wouldn't even bring it up.
Yeah. No, I love that. And it was actually, it made me think of, starting a business, and I haven't been canceled yet that I know of, but
That you know of.
that I know
Right.
of, which means I haven't. Um, but if there's, uh, basically if the parallel I saw when you said that was, it was the liberation I felt when I hosted my first event and no one showed up. Like I had 10 people register and no one came. I brought packets, I brought breakfast. I was pathetic. But I I showed up and I was ready to go. I was all enthusiastic. I was nervous the night before. I showed up and no one came. And that sounds heartbreaking, but it was actually like, oh my God, that was just the worst thing that could have happened. Is I pack my shit, I roll out of here, and
Yeah.
I go get brunch. That was the worst thing.
Yeah.
And then it made me realize, if that was the worst thing that could have happened, what the hell am I doing waiting around for or afraid of anything, right?
Yeah.
I then host the next one. What's the worst that could happen? Exactly what just happened again.
Yeah.
And I was ready for it.
When you think about the worst case scenario, right? When you think about like what people will call you names, people will accuse you of things, people will think you're the worst person in the world, that will just happen anyway. So just accept that that's just kind of part of it. And if it's already happened, how are you going to live your life? The same way.
Yeah, once you've been through it, you're like, there's nothing that can do to me. Yeah, it's not going to take me down. And that was actually really cool to feel. Was like, I felt blessed for every failed launch, like no show event. And I'm like, secretly, the first time I do something, I go, I hope it goes really bad. Because then the second, third, and fourth one is going to be a breeze because I will fear nothing. And that's actually the miracle in it, is that the first one's supposed to suck. Because then you won't be afraid to do it again.
It's supposed to suck. If it doesn't suck, you're not doing it right. Your first hire will screw you over. Your first launch won't do well. Your first anything is going to be horrific. And just like accept that and just get it out of the way.
Yeah. And I've been asked before too, and I was going to ask you this, and I actually think what you're saying goes along with it. One of the biggest mistakes new entrepreneurs make as they're trying to grow or pivot a business is not being willing to make any mistakes.
Yeah, but mistakes are a part of it. You have to have a day one. Like you can't skip to the end. But I've done this twice now. And I've watched the movie until the end. Maybe a lot of, entrepreneurs that I talk to haven't. So you're at the beginning of the movie. But I've watched the movie to the end, and just keep going. It's fun at the end. It's gonna be okay. And it really doesn't matter. You have to detach emotionally from your business. You have to treat your business like a business and make decisions based on numbers. A lot of time, the times in my life where I've gotten really hurt unnecessarily through business building were the times that I thought my business was my charity, or I thought it was my church, or I thought it was my family. Your business is your business. It's supposed to be profitable, and that's it. Now, that sounds really cold-hearted, right? But you guys don't know what I've been through. You guys don't know what I've been through. When I first started becoming successful, I had a gaggle of girls working for me, making the most money they had ever made. And because we all have childhood wounds of not feeling like we belong, of I had this childhood wound of wanting to be liked so badly by my half sisters, right? And I use my business to heal my inner child, that I would forego boundaries And I let people walk all over me. I got my soul filled through my business and my clients and my employees. And that's why I couldn't have these frank, difficult conversations with people, because I was so afraid for that feeling to go away. And it took me a while to recognize this pattern in me, and we all do it. We all use our businesses to heal our inner child. And that's when I realized, after many, many times of getting hurt over and over again, that your business is your business. If you want friends, talk to your friends. If you want a sense of meaning, go volunteer at a Boys and Girls Club. Go join a life group, or, rescue animals. But that is not where you are going to get these holes in your heart filled from your business. And things are actually a lot better that way in the business itself, emotionally speaking. What ends up happening is you end up hiring people who have the same vision as you, who are like-minded, who have a similar outlook and attitude. And it was just a game changer when you stop personifying what's going on in your business. Yeah, and it's so easy to confuse the two because we spend so much time in our businesses.
Yeah, and we treat it like it's a child. We treat it like it's a creation of ours, and that we put so much emotional attachment into it.
We really do.
Or that there's a lot of pressure that this is the thing that's supposed to make me happy, or is supposed to, make me wealthy, make me whatever I want to be that I don't have. The business is supposed to give me. And that can also be toxic, because here's the other thing. Then going back to what you went through, you didn't lose, but had to close your permanent makeup studio. And if you had attached all of your worth and all of your, all of your self-worth, your happiness to that, it would have been even more devastating.
And you know what? I'm still going through that disappointment,
right,
of officially closing, making a decision that I don't think I'm going to reopen it. And I'm still attaching it to some sort of achievement that I've made in the past that makes me worthy or makes me me. But my choices have changed. My lifestyle has changed. I just don't see the real need, aside from, oh, she's a salon owner. I have to identify as a salon owner still. That's it. That's the only need it fills.
Yeah, I mean, you technically still are. There is a salon.
There is.
So
nothing's happening in there though.
So talking about that and kind of the art of the pivot that you did, I wanted to ask you if you could start all over again.
Oh my gosh. If I had to?
If you had to, I mean, forget the emotional side of that, because no one should go through that again. But hypothetically, if you were to start a whole new business from scratch all over again, what are some of the things that you would do first with what you know now?
I mean, I like to identify as the kind of person who can create wealth, first of all. I like to think of myself that if you were to drop me off in any English-speaking country anywhere in the world, that I would be a millionaire again in 3 years. That's what I like to think. And like I said, I've done it twice now. And you know what? It's getting more and more solid in my bones and in my self-confidence. But honestly, for any business, because I do coach people on this, and quite confidently, I have to say, for any business, the steps are the same. Making money, being rich happens in your mind first before it happens anywhere else. Number one, you have to identify with that. But the 3 steps, once you've identified with it, number one, I would build an audience, and it doesn't matter what it is. I would build an audience as soon as possible while I'm figuring out the product. It could be a local audience. It could be an audience online. It's all the same. But audience building is key. Get attention for whatever it is. You can post butt pictures on Instagram. An audience is an audience is an audience. There are no sales without people. You can't launch anything with empty seats in the theater. So I would build that crowd, period. Number two is I would identify the most common problems that I see within this audience, within this crowd. And Russell Brunson said something. He said there's 3 industries. The first one is fitness, the second one is money, and the third one is relationships. If you can build anything, any solution that fixes any of those things, I mean, it's money. You'll be successful a lot faster. So I would focus on those 3 industries and see what problems I could solve. And the third thing I would do if I had to start over again, is focus on sales. Like really get good at sales. I mean, I tell my kids now, if there's anything I want them to learn, it's sales. If you want to be a therapist, learn how to sell your therapy. If you want to be a basketball coach, learn how to sell your basketball coaching. But sales is the oxygen in any business. And if you don't know how to do it, there's no point in learning how to coach basketball or teaching people how to crochet, or it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, learn how to sell it. I would get really nerdy about sales for like 30 days and consume as much content on it as I possibly could. Because it's that important. And what's great about sales nowadays is that you don't need a degree or go to any, an institution to learn it. As a matter of fact, I feel like that's unnecessary. There are so many sales resources now for free on YouTube, podcasts, audiobooks, that can teach you a lot about how to have a business that's alive, just alive, with a pulse. You don't have a pulse if you don't have sales.
And we're sold to on a daily basis too. Like you're observing sales 24/7. So also, if you're just aware of it, you can listen to what other people are doing. Why did I buy this? Because it's uniquely a situation where you're also the consumer and can go, wait a second, that worked on me. Why do I have this thing in my living room? Like why did I buy that?
Exactly.
You can actually unpack that and go, oh, and then use it for your own benefit.
Yeah. And the psychology of sales is the same for anything, whether it's the organic salmon at Whole Foods that I bought, or this cell phone case, or this alkaline water that I spent $6,000 on. Ugh, that's another story. I mean, I bought it. And the reason why let's just talk about this alkaline water. She kept talking about it. She wouldn't stop talking about it. I'm not even exactly sure, but I'm pretty sure it's the best. That's all I know. I have a feeling it's the best. It's just repetitive marketing. Yeah, and you gotta want it, guys. A lot of people are comfortable, but they're not aware of it. They can't admit it to themselves. If you're looking at all of the things that you need to do in order to be successful, and you're looking at it and you're like, or you keep putting it off till tomorrow, this is not not to put anybody down, but I would question, how bad do you want it? If somebody had a cure for cancer, and it was right, and you had to do all of these things to get there, would you do it? Probably. It's just about how badly do you want it. I wanted this life bad, really bad, and I wanted it every day. And it's not about being motivated, because that comes and goes. It's about being disciplined
and consistent.
Like, this is what I need to do today. So I'm going to do it. That's what discipline is, everything.
My one of the things I used to say to clients is like, your business is not meant to entertain you. And that does not go over well all the time.
Love it. Get it on a shirt.
Your business is not here to entertain you.
It's not.
Because I think that there's a nice glossy picture being painted on social media, Instagram, whatever it is, that running a business is all rainbows and butterflies. It's not. There's a ton of discipline, responsibility happening behind the scenes. And I always question, especially the people who have a really gorgeous life. I'm like, I wonder what else is going on there.
Well, all you see are the beautiful reels and the photos,
Right.
et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's really hard to picture anything other than.
And the important thing is to find out what that looks like to you and find a really strong why that you can anchor back to.
Yeah, I mean, my kids. I'll do whatever. I will get up earlier. I'll jump up and down like a clown on reels for you. Thank you, Bo. Gray Mac.
Yeah. Well, they're great kids.
You're
too.
welcome. They are. I'm not sure about the baby though, because he doesn't have a personality yet.
Well, I'm going to trust that, Bo and Gray are they're going to teach Mac how to roll.
I don't know who this kid is yet. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what his tendencies are going to be. But he's such a good baby.
One last question for you, Sheila. One last question that came to mind, because you mentioned family. Entrepreneurs who have a family and maybe are using that as a reason as opposed to why not?
Yes, that's a thing. That's a thing. I mean, is it really? So, okay, we're going to go down this road. I am not a fan, personally, of when people use their fear or their incapabilities, when they sell it to themselves, when they sell their fear and incapabilities as virtuous choices.
Ooh.
So there are some people that I've met, that are older, that have already raised their families, et cetera, and now more mature in the retirement age. And something they say to me sometimes is, we had different priorities. Like my family isn't a priority? We had different priorities. It's not that your priorities were different. I'd like to challenge that. I didn't do it to their face. I do think, though, is it because you couldn't or you were too scared? But you're selling it to me and to yourself as a virtuous decision. And maybe things were hard and things were scary and you didn't want to do it. So instead, you used your family as the reason not to get up early or not, so and we don't know what that line is, but maybe it was really taking a toll on their mental health and, on their kids. We don't know what that line is. So I just want to challenge anybody going through that difficult time to really examine, are you using it as an excuse? And I'm not saying everybody is, but it's worth taking a look because we got one shot at this. You don't want to look back and have any regrets. And I have to say that, there was a time in my life where I felt very disconnected from my children, and it was really painful for me. And at the same time, I was working so much and I wasn't sure when it was going to end. I didn't have a clear finish line. I just knew I had to. And it's really hard when you have people around you who don't see the finish line and who are telling you to quit, but you feel it. It's, in your gut that you're working hard to help them eventually. So you feel very alone in your dream. Well, thank God I didn't listen. And I was okay with pissing people and disappointing people around me, people I loved, because it worked out. And now they're like, okay, I'll pose for this picture. Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure. You want me to film you here? And people don't understand it, in the beginning. People won't, especially if they're not entrepreneurial like you.
Yeah.
And just know that that's coming. That's part of it. You got to push through that.
Well, Sheila,
yeah.
Go ahead.
And surround yourself with people who have accomplished abnormal things. So if you want normal results, then listen to normal people who have normal results. But if you want abnormal wealth, abnormal fitness, extraordinary anything, you need to listen to advice of those people.
Truer words cannot be said. You have to surround yourself with the voices of the people who have done it, number one, and the people that you want to be like, that you want to emulate, because it's exactly true. You are who you surround yourself with. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Sheila, thank you so much for this, because there's just so much gold in everything you're saying. And I hope it resonates with you listening, because to be honest, I went to business school. Here's the thing, right? I went to a 4-year degree and got my CPA. I went to a proper business school. I took business classes. I took tax classes. I took all the things that everyone on social media is saying, I wish they taught me. I'm like, they did. You just have to enroll. You have to enroll in it. That's a whole episode. But here's the thing though. They didn't teach you any of this. They don't teach you, how to pivot, how to be resilient, how to talk to people, how to have difficult conversations. They don't teach you that. Mm-hmm. That's actually what makes or breaks a business owner. I don't care what you got as a grade in Marketing 101, because Lord knows when I took Marketing 101, the iPod had just come out. So that's not really going to help much right now.
Wow.
So it's insane. And we learn so much stuff and we're learning from people too, by the way, who aren't currently doing it when you're in school.
Oh my gosh, that's huge.
So I learned
they're
not currently doing, because they're in there teaching you. Yeah. So what I've realized is when you can surround yourself with mentors who are doing it live time, just a couple steps ahead of you, that is actually the most valuable, because that's where it's relevant. Mm-hmm. They just did it, and they can show you how to do it too before things change, before, the tides change.
Huge. That's such good advice, Shannon. Such a
good point. Is. And unfortunately, it took me 15 years after I graduated to realize that. But I think things are changing, and I think people are waking up to the fact that is really a great resource. You mentioned too, I mean, we have YouTube, we have Google, we have so many resources at our fingertips. There's really, in my mind, no excuse not anymore. Start consuming and get educated and find that mentorship, find those people. And if you're, if you're scared, if there's something holding you back, you actually put this in your bio, which is do it scared, do it now, do it anyway.
Yeah, because you can't beat fear. So you just learn to do it scared.
Love it. Sheila, thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show. We really appreciate it. And tell everyone listening more about Pretty Rich Bosses, how they can get in touch with you, how they can learn more from you.
So Pretty Rich Bosses is my online mentorship program that helps beauty entrepreneurs scale their businesses. If they're new in the industry, helps them be booked out. If you've been in the service industry, because that's what it is, it's a service, for longer, and now you want to know what the next step is, I want to help you get out of services, do it a lot less, only on the clients that you want to do it on, and scale, build a team, just like I did. And you can find me on Instagram at Real Sheila Bella. And I also have a podcast called Pretty Rich Podcast.
Yeah, it's an awesome podcast. Go make sure you follow it. Make sure you follow Sheila on Instagram. We'll have all the links in the show notes for you. Sheila, thank you again so much. And I cannot wait to have you back on the show, or possibly do some social media stuff. Yeah, we'll be doing something in the future.
So excited to hang out with Shannon.
You can see why I adore Sheila.
Thanks, you guys.
All right. Bye.